Married to a Filipina? Discover 5 reasons why taking her home to the Philippines is a must. I've met a lot of Filipino American couples over the years. I've observed a lot of relationships over 20 years. I feel like it's very important to make a commitment to spending some time in her home country for the following reasons. Reason number one, cultural connection. She has a cultural connection to the Philippines. She's a Filipina all the way down to her bones. You may not even think that she really wants to go back to the Philippines. They do have an accommodating nature, and sometimes they're really not going to express exactly how they feel about that. And it's just that accommodating nature that's not going to allow them to really express or to insist on things like this. Imagine if you married someone, and one of the conditions of marriage was that you're going to have to uproot from your home country, travel to another country, and live the rest of your life. Imagine being married to somebody and you're going to have to give up certain things. You're going to have to give up like football, barbecue, a great American breakfast, maybe beer, who knows? All those things that you're familiar with. Just imagine that. Now, imagine being a Filipina. That's basically what you do. I know when I'm in the Philippines, I miss some things at home. Things like the food, the culture, I miss time with family, the weather sometimes, products that you can't get in the Philippines that you can get in America. And there's always a longing for those type of things. How much more if you've been uprooted from a place that you lived all your life, dropped on the other side of the world in an unfamiliar land? I would suggest that you talk to your Filipina. Obviously, you know her better than anybody else. But talk to her, and I'll say it like this, give her permission really to speak her mind about how she feels about this subject. You might be surprised. Reason number two, family bonding. Family is number one to most Filipinas. It's a no brainer. As human beings, we need family connections to feel like we're thriving and even to survive, really. Just ask yourself, how long is it fair for somebody to ask you to go without seeing your family? In the West, in America, it seems like once you leave your household with your mom and your dad, or however your family situation is, and you go start a new family, then you start off as that individual family unit, right? And we still value those relationships that we had with our immediate family. But in the Philippines, it's more of a multi generational family unit with the grandpa. They may not all live together, but a lot of times they do. And the parents and the children, and it's really a family environment. It's really kind of sad for me to encounter a Filipina that maybe hadn't gone back to the Philippines for many years. One question that's often asked when Filipinos see each other in another country that's not their home country, hey, when's the last time you've been back? You know? And many times you hear, I haven't been back in years. I know of one Filipina, she hadn't been back in over 30 years. And that's sad to me. So I have to ask myself this question, is that her desire, or is that just something because she's married to a foreigner? Maybe are you not taking the time to ask if she really wants to go back or not? Are you, is this a choice that's made by both partners? Even just the phrase, when's the last time you've been back? What does that mean? I didn't know what that meant. I used to hear that. When are you going back where? But see, it's so ingrained in the DNA, in the psyche of a Filipina. That's where she grew up. That's where she formed her connections. That's where she become the beautiful person that she is to you in the relationship. And they don't even have to mention where they're going, but they know intuitively that how long has it been since you went back means back to the Philippines. I have to pause just for a second. I got to realize that maybe a lot of people watching this video today are not even married to a Filipina or have a relationship with a Filipina. And that's cool. If you're enjoying the video, just watch on. But, I mean, watching the video actually may raise some questions as to what it might be like to be married or have a relationship with a Filipina. And if I was in your place, and I once was, I think the video would raise a lot of questions to me. If I wanted to meet somebody in the Philippines, I was single, and I wanted to meet somebody, how would I go about doing that? What about the language barrier? How are Filipinas different from other women in other countries? So, I mean, if you've asked yourself that question, how might I ever meet a Filipina besides just coming to the Philippines and hoping for the best, or even worse, coming to the Philippines and not really having a great experience as far as relationships slash dating experience? I think from my perspective, I would give Christian Filipina a shot. What is Christian Filipina? It's just a site where you can browse from hundreds of Filipinas that are really desiring to meet somebody just like you. If that sounds like you and you're curious about that, go down in the comment section right now. I've got a link. In fact, I've got two links. One link will take you straight to the website of Christian Filipina, and you can begin your journey there. So I'd encourage you to go down and click that link if you fit in this category. Secondly, they also offer a visa service that is available should you meet that Filipina of your dreams or that woman you want to spend the rest of your life with, but you have a hard time figuring out how to get her back to the United States or whatever your visa issues might be. So go down in the description right now if you fit that category, if you are that person, click the link, and you could actually kick your relationship goals into overdrive almost overnight. Christian Filipina is a very well established company. They've put thousands and thousands of men and women together over the years and had so many stories of successful relationships, you wouldn't even believe it. Take it from me, my relationship with my Filipina has been the most transformative experience of my entire life. Some people say life begins at 40. Well, mine began about 41 or 42 years old when I met my Filipina. It doesn't cost anything to go down and click the link and look at the site for yourself. And if you don't, you may be missing out on the best experience of your life. Now, back to the video. Reason number 3, Filipino cuisine. In my previous video I just uploaded today, there's a scene where we're at a local restaurant on the island of Guimaras and we're eating. And what I didn't show in that video, I'm sitting there eating, trying to think of what it was. It was a beef broth, I think beef nilaga. They call it pares. That's the dish and the rice, a pair. They paired it up. But along the side, they had this little dish, and it had these little tiny peppers in it. They call them labuyo. And it's been 4 months since I've been to the Philippines, and it's probably been almost 5 months since I've had a labuyo pepper. And labuyo peppers can be a little bit hot, especially if you take a lot. I just slice them up and just kind of make sure and spread them throughout the meal, and it gives that added spice that I really love. But I remember I chopped them up. I didn't really think that much about it. So I'm eating my meal, and I got a little bit of that labuyo pepper in my mouth. And immediately, when I tasted that taste, that old familiar taste, that just a little bit of a burn and the flavor that goes along with it, I was just blown away. And you know what that was? I was remembering something and experiencing something that was very familiar to me. And it was really great. And I even told my wife, I said, wow, did you taste that laboyo? It's been a long time since I've had one of those. Now you may say, I don't really like Filipino cuisine. Why is that a reason, you know, to take your spouse or your partner back to the Philippines? You may not like it, but realize one thing. Think about the foods that you love, okay? Just for a minute. Take a little time and think about it. What really, in a cold, wintry day, what really tastes really good to you. It might be a really rich beef stew that your mother used to make that just takes the chill off your bones and gives you that satisfied feeling of everything's okay. You know, those kind of memories and those kind of and taste and smell is like a really the best trigger to replay mental images and memories in your mind. And as Filipinos grow up, they have all those same experiences with the food. Maybe when they're young, something that they really loved. Maybe it's balut. Maybe it's just a really good sending out. Maybe it's tinola. You know, you can't really get the great tinola in America because the papaya really is not in abundance there. Unless you might live in certain parts, you might get it. But it's nothing like the food back in the Philippines to a Filipina for sure. I remember on my last trip back in June back to the United States, I'd been missing a lot of different types of food. But one of them, I like to drink beer, okay? And not just, oh, just any kind of beer, just throw it down. No, I kind of feel like I'm about 20% a little bit connoisseur of beer, you know? So, and I really like IPAs. I like to try different types of IPAs. And when I got back home, we were wore out. It was a long trip. I bust in the door. We're just kind of throwing some things down, trying to, start to take it easy. And I open up the refrigerator, and there sat a fresh, it was a 5 pack of an IPA that I really liked. And man, I'm telling you what, it really made me feel good, and I just grabbed that thing. Of course, it had been there for about 8 months, and it was pretty cold, and it really tasted delicious to me. But, you magnify that by many times over, and a Filipina going back to the Philippines, that's exactly how she feels. Now, it's probably going to be more like some sort of dried fish or maybe delice, maybe, what do they call the one in Cebu? I call it the fish potato. Oh, dangi. Yeah. Things like that we don't care about, really, unless you really, you really have to bend your taste a little bit. But they really love these things, right? And those memories are very important to her. So that's reason number three. It's just because of the cuisine. Filipinos have in their DNA, in their bones, memories of the special foods that they grew up with and the great experiences that they had while growing up. They have comfort foods, they have celebration type foods. You have lechon, you have lumpia, you have all the different fruits and vegetables, I think is the main thing. If you haven't eaten Filipino food in the Philippines, and you really haven't had, for the most part, you really haven't had those fresh ingredients that they really love. Have you ever noticed that Filipinos are very picky about their fruits and their vegetables, especially if they live in the U.S. or maybe the U.K. because the type of fruits and vegetables that they grew up with are not in abundance in America. So, if you come back here, you're going to taste the difference. Believe me, I can testify of that fact for sure. Everything here is grown locally or maybe just shipped for one day and it's in the market. It's fresh, it's flavorful, and it's just exactly like they remember when they were small. You should really come here and experience food culture for yourself. Then you're going to have your own reasons to want to come back to the Philippines. Reason number four, exploring the Philippines. When you come back, you're going to experience a real differentness. If you've never been here before, now I realize differentness is not a word, but it's so far above and away different than living in America that it will intrigue you and keep your mind stimulated like it's never been before. Now I'm speaking of those who've never been here before. It's so different. Traveling will help you to open up your mind to a whole variety of different opportunities, different options, and give you a different perspective on your life as a whole. I know it did mine. I remember my first trip to Asia. It was to Singapore, actually to meet my wife. And if you hadn't watched that video, I'll try to put it up in the screen. You can click on it and watch that video. But I remember being in Singapore. I was in the botanical gardens in Singapore, one of the most famous botanical gardens in the world. very beautiful. But I remember after only being there a short time, me and my soon to be wife, Flora, were in this gazebo in the botanical garden. And I just kind of sat down and I just looked out over the beautiful landscape there. And I don't know why, but this statement just kept coming to my mind. I'm actually here. I'm on the other side of the world. It was so surreal and it was so much to take in that I really had to convince myself that I was actually there. That's life changing. It opened up so many possibilities in my life because I looked at life through a different lens. I realized other people all over the world live a lot different than we do in America. It opened doors that I previously would have never walked through. And it's brought a richness to my life that has paid dividends for the rest of my life. Reason number 5, revitalizing your relationship. Enough about her and you individually. When you can have combined experiences and memories, it deepens your relationship in ways that staying put all your life will never be able to do. If you make it a point and you make it a priority to see that she gets home periodically and as much as financially is reasonable and possible, it demonstrates your love and that she's a priority to you. Believe me, your stock is going to go up in her eyes exponentially. Finally, you'll come away from the Philippines with all the experiences and the memories that will draw you back again and again. I know that most on this channel have already been to the Philippines. I also know that work and life in general and being busy dictates your schedule to a large degree. And it's important that you keep your nose to the grindstone most of the time. I would just ask for you to consider this video as kind of a call to have a richer and more vibrant life with your Filipina. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. This channel takes a lot of work, a lot of editing work, things like that, which I like to do. So don't feel sorry for me, but it does take a lot of work. So again, lastly, if you are interested at all in meeting someone from the Philippines, please don't be married already. But if you're single and you'd like to meet a Filipina, remember the link in the description to Christian Filipina will get you well on your way to pursuing that relationship that you always dreamed of. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.